When it comes to firepower, look no further than the gunner, a staple of every alien's fire team, and one of the most crucial classes when pushing into the endgame. What's up, friends? It's Codiak here, one half of the team behind Legacy Gaming, and today we're bringing you our endgame gunner build so you know what playstyle, weapons, and perks will help you tackle the most challenging content in the game. I think a lot of people will naturally gravitate to the gunner. It's a familiar archetype that combines traditional weapons with traditional abilities, but there are multiple layers to this particular loadout. In today's build, I want to focus on pushing deeper into the endgame, and what that really boils down to is control. The gunner has incredible offensive capabilities, but with a little tweaking and some basic understanding of the kit, the gunner is capable of being the glue that holds a fire team together. So what am I really talking about here? Well, it's simple. You may look at the gunner's overclock and grenade abilities and think, great, I can do a ton of damage. But by shifting our mindset just a bit and tweaking some perks, we can actually make the gunner one of the strongest team supports in the game. Not because we're healing our allies or dropping turrets, but because we're using our abilities to enhance everyone else around us. Let's start with the passive perk, Stay on Target. This grants the gunner a stacking damage buff as long as they continue to deal damage to an enemy. With some smart perk enhancements, we can leverage this perk even more. By adding focus fire into the mix, we can cause enemies to take up to 10% more damage. By adding suppressing fire, we can also slow enemies by 5% per stack of focus fire. The goal is enhancing our team, not necessarily making ourselves a super soldier. Our other perks, Overclock and Frag Grenade, also play a pivotal role in supporting our team. Overclock is simply the strongest on-demand buff in the game, full stop. The goal isn't to use this whenever it's up, but it's to use it situationally to cut through the hardest enemies in the game. As you can see, in something like Horde mode, our team strategically uses Overclock to burn down targets like Praetorians, Warriors, and Crushers. Things that would otherwise destroy us on harder difficulties become much more manageable because we're using Overclock effectively. The same could be said for Frag Grenade, which we've changed via a perk to be a sticky remote grenade. By using the Disorienting Blast perk, we've now turned our high damage explosive into a utility, again giving our team options when our back's against a wall. It's a CC, or crowd control on demand, and that's far more valuable than just straight up damage because if you're coordinated, everyone has something to be gained. Don't get me wrong, the gunner is a killing machine, and next to the demolisher, there's no one better, but where they really thrive is in enhancing their team's killing potential. Trust me, there are plenty of enemies to go around. With the basics under our belt, let's talk about the weapons. Demolishers are your front line, and anyone that thinks otherwise, well, you're just wrong. Trust me, you get a few smart bullets to the back of the head, and you'll feel the same way. The gunner fits nicely as the number 2 in the stack and is easily capable of holding down a lane, but is equally effective at cleaning house when things get a bit messy, which is why I choose to rock the Type 21 tactical shotgun as my main weapon. This is your bread and butter for pretty much everything and is capable of killing everything from runners to Praetorians. What makes this gun so great is its relatively high killing potential per bullet. It's not the highest damaging weapon in the game, but it's up there, and with the right attachments, it's effective from a distance, up close, and definitely when elites come knocking. Using a combination of the precision brake, drum magazine, and green dot sight, our goals are twofold: boost the effective range and enhance weak point damage. With those 3 attachments equipped, we get plus 60% to effective range and plus 40% to weak point damage, and that's not nothing. That drum magazine also allows us to carry more ammo overall, increasing each magazine to 10 rounds and providing us with a 25% reload speed boost as long as we completely empty a mag. The shotgun is going to get you 90% of the way there, but sometimes you just want a bit more firepower, and that's where our second weapon comes into play. Of course, I'm talking about the Twilight V4, one of my absolute favorite guns in Alien's Fireteam Elite. High damage, increased weak point damage, and overall, just a rock-solid weapon for taking enemies out at range, or when you're under the effects of Overclock, wiping out elite enemies with semi-automatic goodness. The 3 attachments I use here are the Extended Flash Hider, the Armor-Piercing Rounds, and the Digital Scope. The goal here is to exploit the gun's high damage and enhance it the best we can for a very specific purpose, taking on elite enemies. Armor-piercing rounds is a no-brainer since it gives us 25% increased damage against most elites in the game. Digital scope is another easy choice. I don't want to replace the ADS because, truth be told, I like staying in third person where it's easier to move between targets. The multiple benefits from the scope are also incredible. Finally, the extended flash hider. You don't need the effective range boost, but it's that special effect that provides you with a substantial DPS boost as long as you're hitting weak points. Remember, it's not about sniping targets halfway across the map, although you can do that. It's about using Twilight in conjunction with Overclock to absolutely melt elites. We already talked about a few of the perks we'll be using on the gunner, but I wanted to make sure we touched on the rest. Overclock is the star of the show, and as such, we have to do everything in our power to make sure it shines. The key is to reduce its cooldown timer as much as possible. That's going to allow us to have it available when elite enemies start coming back to back, and trust me, that happens quite a bit in the harder difficulties. As you can see, we're using a number of perks to increase recharge speed, but also making use of the long haul, which increases the duration of the buff by 20%. All in all, with our perks assigned, we get plus 60% ability recharge and plus 20% ability duration, and this ends up putting Overclock on a 30-second timer. To take this a step further, we can use targets acquired, which greatly increases our ability recharge speed so long as we maintain full stacks of stay on target. This is incredibly easy to do in a firefight and thus makes it essential to the build, because it further reduces the time you're waiting for Overclock. To round out our perks, we use the Technician CQW training, which increases our shotgun's reload speed and accuracy, as well as the Gunner CQW Mastery, which further increases accuracy and provides a slight bump to fire rate. When it comes to consumables, you're going to find that the same things work well across the board. You're not going to see a lot of deviation between our build guides here on the channel in this particular aspect, so I'll keep it short. Cryo Grid gives you a large ring of CC that slows enemies by a significant amount, making both your weapons and your teammates able to sit back and fire on their targets with ease. Vulnerability assessment drones are another solid choice as they grant your entire team a 25% boost to weapon damage and range. In our opinion, everything else just falls a bit flat. You can use the electroshock rounds as an on-demand stun, but it's finicky at best and can hardly match the efficiency of the static grid and assessment drones. And before you get all righteous on me about turrets, no, they're not good at higher difficulties and will pretty much get one shot when pushing the endgame content. At this point, we've really cracked into the gunner and broke it down from a number of different angles, but I want to make sure we really understand how this particular loadout fits onto a team. The way we're currently building is pseudo-damage support. Assuming that you're going to have a Demolisher, you could probably run this build with another gunner as well, but this entire kit is designed to support someone that is going for all-out damage. To be honest, 2 Demolishers and a gunner is probably as good as it's going to get, especially in Horde mode if that's your thing, but having a strong Recon or Technician is probably the smarter way to go. You get more utility out of the Recon, especially when you have to worry about ammo, plus that added benefit they bring to the table with their support drone. But the Technician also brings something useful to the table. Throw a few of their charged coils around, slow enemies to a near stop, and you've built yourself a nice buffer to deal with encroaching enemies. It's really dealer's choice here and will come down to your team's preference, but there are just a few thoughts to get you going. In my eyes, the gunner is an essential Fireteam loadout. Having one on your team is almost required for killing elites at harder difficulties, especially if you build them with utility in mind. Of course, my way isn't the only way, so if you have any questions or suggestions for the build, feel free to leave us your thoughts in the comment section below. If you guys did enjoy this video, we'd love some support. We're chasing our year-end goal of 150,000 subscribers, so if you love video games and you want more in-depth reviews and fresh content in your feeds almost every single day, please consider hitting that thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. It's still the single best way to help channels like ours reach new audiences. We also invite you to our Discord. We've got a great community of around 7,000 members, so check out the link in the description below to join today. Finally, if you like everything we stand for here at Legacy Gaming and you want to support us even more, you can now do so by becoming a member. For just a few bucks, you're helping evolve the channel and take our community to that next level. Check out the join button below to learn more. My name is Codiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.